Alrighty, welcome everybody, and thank you for tuning in to episode 3 of the Konoha Companion. This is Joshua, your Konoha Companion, and on today's episode we're going to be covering Season 1, Episode 3 of Naruto, titled Sasuke and Sakura, Friends or Foes. There's a brief description of the episode that goes, on the way to becoming a ninja, Naruto must team up with classmates. The episode starts with Naruto waking up in bed. This is the first time that we've actually seen his living quarters. Naruto sees on his calendar that it's the 15th, and he has it circled, and it's obviously a big day. Naruto makes himself a breakfast of champions, some instant ramen, and milk right out of the carton. I guess there's no one around to tell him not to drink milk out of the carton, so that's how he does it. I can't blame him. Naruto is looking in the mirror, adjusting his goggles when he sees his ninja headband on the table, and he lets out a little giggle. He gets ready and heads out the door. As he's walking to where he's headed, Shrimpy, old Konohamaru, ambushes Naruto with a sneak attack, but in classic Konohamaru fashion, he trips over himself and face plants. So, dude's still a klutz, even in episode 3. Naruto asks him what he thinks he's doing, and Konohamaru responds that that was a slick move, and that's why I respect you as a rival. But obviously, Naruto did nothing. He just fell down. And Shrimpy demands that Naruto fight him fair and square. Naruto lets him know that he has to go to orientation. Shrimpy questions what orientation is, and Naruto responds that, as of today, I'm a ninja. And he points to his headband and reveals that he finally traded the goggles for the headband. So, that's neat. He's finally actually got his headband on. Next, it takes us to Sakura, who is getting ready in her bedroom. While Sakura checks herself out in the mirror, I mean, she's literally like sniffing herself, winking, being a girl. Her mom calls out to remind her it's almost time for her to go. Sakura says yes back, but she has this little meltdown in her head. How long are you going to treat me like a kid? I'm a ninja now. You know, a young kid wanting to have their own responsibilities, being upset that their parents are squeezing them too hard type of stuff. Nothing too serious, but it's funny, right? Sakura definitely wants to prove herself, right? Even in these little circumstances, right? She has this kind of chip on her shoulder. Sakura goes walking outside, and she's thinking to herself, so I'm not a little academy student anymore. I'm Sakura Haruno, Kunoichi in training. This is the first time that anyone in the show has actually used the term kunoichi, from what I understand. All a kunoichi is a female ninja. Sakura keeps walking along, heading to her orientation, and Ino walks out of her parents' flower shop, and Sakura and her have a little awkward standoff. They start walking together, and the shit talk ensues. Ino goes on to say, so they actually let you graduate? What a surprise. And Sakura says, those classes are ancient history. We're both ninja now, and we're both equal. I won't lose to you anymore. And so at this point, you can kind of tell that there's a little history between these two. They're kind of already rivals. It seems like Ino's kind of got the advantage with statements like, I'm not going to lose to you anymore. But at this point, Sakura is obviously done with the conversation and starts walking really fast. And Ino speeds up to keep up. And this process gets rinsed and repeated several times until they're basically power walking down the road and dusting up everything that they pass by. In this little micro competition, they literally can't even walk without competing. So it's a neat little relationship that these two have, definitely. Let's see where this ends up, Maybe they'll push each other to be better. maybe they'll wind up disliking each other and being enemies. You never know in an anime, right? Next is Naruto sitting at a desk in the classroom, and Shikamaru walks up and asks him what he's doing there. He goes on to say that this ain't for dropouts. You can't be here unless you graduated. Naruto mockingly tells Shikamaru to look at his regulation headband and that they're going to be training together. How do you like that? Naruto continues to berate Shikamaru with shit talk about how good he looks in his headband and how it was basically made just for him. While this is happening, Hinata Hyuga is off to the side remarking to herself about how Naruto graduated after all and that she's very glad, and she's just blushing the whole time. You know, classic Hinata, checking out Naruto from afar, being shy about it. It cuts back to Ino and Sakura, and they are just face to face running down the hallway. Like, literally, they're leaning into one another, and they're just neck and neck. They get to the classroom and literally squeeze through the door at the exact same time, but both of them announce that they were the first one to enter the classroom. And they make this announcement at the same time. I mean, they're walking the same speed. They walk in the room at the same time. They make the same announcement at the same time. These girls are heads and tails of the same coin, so far as what it seems. Ino looks at Sakura and tells her, "Ha, I win again." And Sakura laughs and tells Ino, "Give it up. I had to look back to see you. My toe was at least 1/10 of an inch ahead. Have you always been this delusional?" I just can't get enough of the relentless shit talk between these two. It's wholesome to me. While this is happening, Naruto is checking out Sakura, just all smitten, right? And Sakura looks at Naruto, and Naruto realizes that Sakura is looking at him, looking at her. And this makes him blush even harder, and he goes on to think that she's smiling at me. I think she really likes me in this headband. Obviously, this headband has given him a huge confidence boost. Sakura chuckles and begins to run towards Naruto. Naruto stands up to greet Sakura, and Sakura literally shoves him out of the way to show who she was really looking for, and it's Sasuke. The whole scene is cute because Hinata's looking at Naruto, who isn't noticing her because he's looking at Sakura, who isn't noticing him because she's looking at Sasuke, who isn't noticing her because he's busy sniffing himself, right? And presumably there's somebody looking at Hinata and she's missing that because she's looking at Naruto. Like, there's just this whole chain of these little school kid crushes going on, and they just haven't quite figured out the love triangles just yet. Sakura tells Sasuke that she hopes he's having a good morning, and asks if she can sit next to him. Ino comes in and tells her to back off, forehead. I'm sitting next to Sasuke. The first good forehead joke. So palatable. Sakura and Ino continue to fight over who's going to sit next to Sasuke for a while. And before taking every girl in the class, before long, every girl in the class is fighting over the spot next to Sasuke. Sasuke, cool as beans, just thinks to himself, clueless, right? I think it's actually the first time we've even heard Sasuke's voice. I think in the last episode he just walked around and looked cool. At this point, it cuts to Lord Third and a bunch of high-ranking ninja watching Sasuke through the crystal ball in the Hokage's office, and one of the ninja calls Sasuke the most promising new student in the academy. One of the kunoichi in the room, maybe even the only kunoichi in the room, says that Sasuke is the only surviving member of the Uchiha clan. And so this is huge, right? Obviously, we mentioned in episode 1 that Sasuke is going to be a big pillar in the show. And now we're learning a little bit about his backstory. He's Sasuke Uchiha, and he is literally the only surviving member of that clan. It's going to be interesting to see what happened to that clan. It's going to be interesting to see what being the last member of a clan does to the psychology of Sasuke. It's neat, right? Everybody kind of has their own things going on. Sakura has this big chip on her shoulder that she wants to prove to everybody that she's actually strong and good. Sasuke is the last person in his entire clan, and Naruto has a nine-tailed fox locked inside of him, and he's trying to become the Hokage. One of the ninja is on the... one of the ninja in the room is actually the ninja from the intro that we mentioned last week. He's got white hair and has his face covered. And he's in the intro, right? So obviously he's someone who's going to be important, but they haven't mentioned his name, and I believe this is the first time we're actually getting to see him anywhere in the show outside of on the intro, and he's in this room with the other ninja who are looking through the crystal ball with the Hokage at Sasuke, and they're talking about basically the happenings in the room. It takes us back to the classroom, and now Naruto is literally standing on Sasuke's desk, and he's squatted down, looking him right in the face. All of the girls are demanding that Naruto stop glaring at Sasuke. Naruto looks over at them, and then looks back at Sasuke, and wonders why they're all so infatuated with Sasuke, and wants to know what the big deal is with this guy. Naruto inches in closer, and their eyes lock, and they literally have like this stare down moment where there's like a lightning bolt connecting between their third eyes, and a guy sitting in front of Sasuke's desk accidentally bumps Naruto, and Naruto falls into Sasuke, and they kiss, and Sakura about falls out, because in her mind, she was supposed to be Sasuke's first kiss. Naruto and Sasuke both split and spit in complete disgust, as you'd expect, straight little boys to do if they kissed on accident. All the girls in the room begin to corner Naruto for robbing them all of their opportunity to be Sasuke's first kiss. At this point, we find ourselves in the office of the Hokage with the higher level ninja again, and Lord Third proceeds to say that Naruto, per the usual, is in the middle of some kind of trouble. The next scene is Iruka in the classroom, and he's telling the class that they are now ninja, and what they did to get here was incredibly difficult, but what is to come is even more difficult. He goes on to tell the class they'll have that they will be grouped up in 3-person squads, and each squad will be led by an elite Jonin level ninja. Of course, all the girls in the class want to be in Sasuke's group, and of course, Ino and Sakura are talking shit to one another about which one's going to be in Sasuke's squad. Sasuke thinks to himself that being in a group will only slow him down. Naruto thinks how he'd like to be in a squad with Sakura, and that he really doesn't care so long as he's not in a group with Sasuke. Iruka goes in to say, the squads are built so they'll have a balance of strength and abilities, so that's how we've set them up. He announces Squad 7 as Naruto Uzumaki and Sakura Haruno, and Sakura just has the ultimate look of dismay on her face, knowing that she's about to be in a group with Naruto, and Naruto literally jumps up, exclaiming in excitement. And then Iruka announces the third member of the team is Sasuke Uchiha. And Naruto hangs his head in quite the same way that Sakura had just been hanging her head, and Sakura jumps in excitement in quite the same way as Naruto had just been, and now Sasuke just doesn't even move a muscle. He just could give a shit less. And so that's Team 7, guys. This is like a really big moment, right? This is this is the tripod right here. The show's about Naruto, right? And these are his teammates, Sakura and Sasuke. It's a little rocky, Obviously, these guys all have big opinions about one another, but the bottom line is this is the team right here, and just resign yourself to being in love entirely, because it's going to happen eventually no matter what. Hinata sees this all transpiring and realizes that she won't be in the same group as Naruto, and her head hangs slightly. The next squad that Iruka announces is Squad 8, which is Hinata Hyuga, the girl who has the infatuation with Naruto, Kiba Inuzuka. Kiba's a fun character. He's the guy with the red triangles on his face. I don't want to go into too much about what these guys' types of jutsus are or anything, because I'm certain that at points in episodes in the future they'll be, dropping it and it'll be a reveal, right? And so I don't want to ruin that for anybody. The next one is Shino Aburame. So you got Hinata, Kiba, and Shino on Squad 8. Goon Squad. Undeniably Goon Squad. Can't wait for the series to progress so you guys can see what happens with these fools. Sakura turns and taunts Ino for not getting onto the squad with Sasuke. Sakura has an internal dialogue that basically says that true love conquers all. So, infatuation and true love, kid don't know the difference just yet. But at this point, Shikamaru asks Ino, what do you see in a guy like that? He's not so special. And Ino proceeds to lay into Shikamaru. She calls him clueless, jealous, full of himself, and that she'd hate to be on a squad with him. At this point, Iruka calls out Squad 10 and its members, and the members are Ino Yamanaka, Shikamaru Nara, and Choji Akamichi. And Shikamaru just immediately laughs at Ino for being in his squad. Ino's obviously distraught right off the cuff, and we get our first real good look at Choji, right? And as a big guy, all the people from Choji's clan get a special place in my heart, right? We got some big people being represented in anime. It's dope. But he's a chunker, and he's smacking a bag of chips down, and he's got spiky hair, and he's a lot to take in right off the cuff. Ino basically hates her life at this point for being stuck with the dude she just talked a bunch of shit about, and with the guy that she refers to as the food boy. And Iruka says that's all the squads. So obviously we only saw 3 of them get put together. But I mean, we heard that there's at least 10, right? They wouldn't just start at 7 and 8, skip 9 and go to 10, right? There's 10 squads presumably from this group of Genin. And these are just the 3 that we got introduced to right now. Naruto stands up and demands to know what a great ninja like himself has, why a great ninja like himself has to be stuck in the same group as a slug like Sasuke. Homie called Sasuke Uchiha a slug, bruh. Wow. Iruka proceeds to let Naruto know that Sasuke had the highest scores in the academy, and that he had the worst. So they had to put them together in order to make a balanced group. So they put the best student with the worst student, and now you have a balanced group. Sasuke tells Naruto, just make sure you don't get in my way, loser. Naruto tries to clap back, but the girls and the teacher basically put him in his place and keep things rolling. Iruka lets everyone know they are dismissed for lunch, and they'll get to meet their new Jonin teachers when they get back. The class dismisses, and we find ourselves following Sakura, who is out calling for Sasuke. She goes on to say that she'd been thinking they could get lunch together to get to know each other, since they're on the same team and all. In this moment, Naruto walks up and says literally the exact same thing to Sakura. Since we're in the same group, I was thinking we could have lunch together and get to know each other. And Sakura is really ugly to him and asks him, how could that thought even cross your mind? She proceeds to call Naruto annoying, gives him the cold shoulder, walks off, and literally starts calling for Sasuke like he's a lost dog or something. It's pretty wild that Naruto came up to her with the same pitch, with the same motivations as she has with Sasuke, and she calls Naruto an annoying idiot for acting that way. then turns around and proceeds to continue to act the way that she just said was idiotic towards Sasuke. So I'm really hoping that this hypocrisy in Sakura's character gets some light shined on it, and Sakura is able to grow past it, because that's annoying, and I'm not going to want to deal with that for 700 episodes. You can guarantee it. Naruto goes off by himself on top of a building and is thinking about how much of a pain it is that he's finally been given this opportunity to be in proximity of Sakura to make his move, but now he's basically being cock-blocked by Sasuke and wonders about how to deal with the situation. In this moment, Naruto sees Sasuke in a window across the way eating a rice cake. You see Naruto have an epiphany and say, "Got it," out loud, but he doesn't explain the plan to us, or we don't get any internal dialogue. What's about to happen is still mysterious. Next, it shows Squad 10, Ino, Choji, and Shikamaru out on a balcony eating their lunches. Ino is proclaiming that she has to be the leader of the group, and Shikamaru effectively agrees, but thinks internally that it has to be this way because Ino will throw a fit if she doesn't get her way. Choji chimes in and requests that Ino lead them to some barbecue, which is great. I get it, Choji. It's a smart man. Shikamaru spots Naruto sneaking up to Sasuke's window from across the way, and suddenly Naruto dives through the window and the wooden window cover falls, and a struggle ensues that you can hear but you can't see. As Squad 10 wonders what happened, it shows Sasuke standing over Naruto, obviously having won the fight. Sasuke hops out of the window and smirks. Shikamaru exclaims that he was able to beat Naruto without even breaking a sweat, right? Shikamaru is recognizing the capacity of Sasuke at this point. Ino goes on to say, what did you expect? Naruto against my boy Sasuke, it's no contest, right? Obviously, worst kid in the class versus best kid in the class. How are you going to expect anything other than it being a wash in the favor of Sasuke? Next is Sakura sitting on the bench alone trying to enjoy her lunch. We get to hear her internal dialogue, and you can tell she's disappointed, but goes on to say that it's okay, she has a long time, and that her and Sasuke are going to be on the group for forever. She goes on to wonder why he would ever even like her, and she's scrawny, with the exception of her forehead. And right in this moment, she notices Sasuke leaned against a tree across the path. So she's having this moment of insecurity, and then all of a sudden she sees her crush. You can see that Sasuke has a little smirk on his face, and this just does it for Sakura, right? It makes her blush even more. Sakura immediately falls into a love fantasy where Sasuke is complimenting her on the size of her forehead and telling her that basically the size of her forehead is very inviting and it makes him want to kiss her forehead. Right as Sakura snaps back to reality, she lets out a sigh, realizing that her fantasy will likely never come true, and Sasuke walks right up, tells her that her forehead is so wide and charming that it makes him want to kiss it. Like, she literally couldn't have dreamt it up any more perfectly. Sakura and Sasuke share a moment, eyes locked, tension high, leaves falling all around, and then Sasuke goes, "Just kidding, that's the kind of dumb thing Naruto would say." Sasuke goes on to ask Sakura what she thinks of Naruto. Sakura goes on a tangent listing off all the things that she doesn't like about Naruto, and goes on to say that all she really wants is for Sasuke to accept her. Sakura leans in for a kiss, and you can feel the tension building. We cut back to the window that Naruto had jumped in to fight Sasuke, and it's revealed that Sasuke is actually tied up. So I guess Naruto actually won that fight, and he's masquerading as Sasuke in this conversation with Sakura right now. It shows us how this fight played out, and basically Naruto jumped in the window to fight Sasuke, and that Naruto who jumped in the window was a substitution, and Sasuke beat that substitution in a one-on-one fight. He tied up that substitution, but whenever he finished tying it up, it turned into a log. And just as Sasuke was beginning to realize what was happening, Naruto jumps him with at least 6 of his shadow clones. Sasuke wonders in his internal dialogue while he's tied up on the ground how Naruto was able to combine a substitution jutsu with a clone jutsu whenever he saw Naruto unable to produce even one passable clone in class the other day. Right, you can see how this is levels of capacity difference in what Sasuke was expecting out of Naruto. We cut back to Naruto, who is transformed in the form of Sasuke at the moment, about to get kissed by Sakura. And Naruto is having an internal revelation about how he finally understands why he likes Sakura so much. It doesn't tell us what epiphany he's having, but he definitely alludes to the fact that he's having the epiphany. And right whenever they're about to kiss each other, his stomach growls violently, and he literally has to get up and run away from Sakura when he's 3 inches from getting his kiss because his stomach is hurting so bad. And he exclaims to Sakura that he's running away and that he'll be right back. Well, he exclaims as he's running away that he'll be right back. Excuse me. Naruto makes it to the toilet just in time and sits on the pot and releases the jutsu and turns himself and thinks to himself that he was lucky that he made it because his stomach was hurting so bad that he nearly lost control of the jutsu. While Naruto is on the pot, he reflects about the conversation between him and Sakura and gets upset that she called him annoying so many times and hatches a scheme to make Sasuke act totally obnoxious so that Sakura will hate him and kind of pave the road in for him to get with her, right? Obviously, if she's going to choose between Naruto and Sasuke, if Sasuke is a total dick, she's going to go with Naruto, and he's going to make absolutely sure that Sasuke is a dick by pretending to be him. Naruto comes back in the form of Sasuke, and Sakura is just elated to see him, and she tells him not to be so shy this time. He basically walks by and asks Sakura where Naruto is, and Sakura goes on yet another tangent about how annoying Naruto is, and his gaze sharpens. He's obviously very annoyed with the shit that Sakura is talking. She goes on to say that he doesn't act right because he doesn't have anybody raising him, and he's all alone, and she could never act obnoxiously in that way because if she did, her parents would get mad and punish her. He goes on to say that it has nothing to do with how your parents scold you and that she has no idea what it means to be alone. Obviously, this kind of hurts Sakura's feelings, and she asks why he said that, and he goes on to say that it's because she's annoying. And I can't get enough of this. Naruto is giving her a taste of her own medicine. She called him annoying and then said that basically she idolizes Sasuke, and now he's parading around to Sasuke telling her that she's annoying, and that's just karma being a mirror, right? I mean, obviously this whole act of deception is ugly. You shouldn't be pretending to be anybody to be getting a kiss. It's a weird situation, but it is fun to see someone who just called Naruto annoying a bunch get called annoying. He walks off like nothing happened, right? So mission accomplished. He came in and was really ugly to her and left. And at this point, it takes us back to Naruto in the toilet. And he goes, I thought I was okay, but I had to come back. And this basically reveals that was the real Sasuke. Sasuke has effectively broken out and was going to try and hear Sakura's real thoughts on Naruto, And he really thinks that she's annoying. So this is dope, right? This is like even better, right? It was only kind of weird because Naruto was lying and trying to be mean. But, I mean, hell, if Sasuke thinks that she's annoying, that's okay, right? She thinks that Naruto is annoying. And so it's dope, right? She immediately gets a taste of her own medicine. As Naruto is running back to Sakura, he runs into Sasuke and asks Sasuke what he's doing there and how he got loose. Sasuke goes on to say that he used an escape jutsu and that it was no sweat. It's a very basic technique. Sasuke asks Naruto why Naruto transformed into him. And Naruto says that he thought it would be fun to try out his moves on him, so he did. He then busts out his shadow clone jutsu and goes to attack him. And Sasuke goes, oh, the same technique again. And right as they're about to start the fight, Naruto's stomach starts hurting again. And what's fun this time is that it happens while he's got a bunch of shadow clones out, right? So now there's 6 Narutos, all with a tummy ache, all trying to go fight for one toilet at the same time. Which is a funny little scene, right? It goes to show that just because you have shadow clones doesn't mean it's absolutely perfect, right? There's some pitfalls, right? Everybody can need to take a shit all at the same time. Just for one simple example. Sasuke watches this unfold and thinks to himself how annoying Naruto is and just walks off. The next thing we see is Sakura sitting alone on the bench reflecting on how Sasuke had called her annoying and finally being able to empathize with Naruto about how he feels about her and how he must feel about the way that she's been treating him. And in this moment, Sakura declares out loud that Naruto doesn't deserve to be treated like that and that the next time she sees him, she's going to be nice. In that moment, Naruto walks up groaning, his stomach is grumbling, and saying out loud that maybe he ate something bad. Sakura's first response in her internal dialogue is, ugh, Naruto. Like, she really, really, has sincere disdain for this guy. 2 seconds ago, she's like, I'm gonna be nice to that dude. And just the sight of him creates this, organic response out of this person of, ugh, right? She coaxes herself into smiling in Naruto's direction, but even then it's just so obviously forced. Her eye is twitching, and she's having a very hard time with it. But she, I'll give her props. She hollers for Naruto to come over and for them to walk to class together. Naruto stops. Obviously, he just heard her when he was acting like he was Sasuke say that he was super annoying and all these ugly things. And so it's a little off-putting that now she's being nice and he doesn't understand the kind of little bit of growth that she's had between here and there. Naruto suddenly realizes in his mind that Sakura would never smile at him like that or treat him that way, and that this must be Sasuke masquerading as Sakura in order to get back at him. Naruto exclaims, trying to trick me, wise guy? Well, forget it. And he goes to bust out a jutsu, and of course his stomach acts up again and he has to run away. This makes Sakura real angry, right? She just tried to be nice and was rejected, and I'm pretty sure that any growth in their relationship that happened while Naruto was away just got flushed down the toilet. No pun intended, actually. The next thing that we see is Lord Third and the ninja from the intro with the white hair in Naruto's living quarters. Lord Third tells this ninja that Naruto is going to be on his squad along with Sasuke and Sakura. So you can now determine that this unknown ninja with the white hair and his face covered is going to be the Jonin leader of Squad 7. Cool beans. Makes sense. He's on the intro. Things were kind of trending in this direction, right? The ninja picks up the milk off the table and realizes that it's weeks past its expiration date and says that anyone who took even a sip of this would be running to the toilet all day. He then turns to Lord Third and tells him that it seems like Naruto is just one big problem. We cut away to Naruto on the toilet, having a hard time and exclaiming out loud and wondering if he's going to be on the pot forever, right? And that wraps up the episode. Obviously, he's on the pot because he drank expired milk. He drank expired milk because he doesn't have parental guidance at home. And so, obviously all the little stuff that's happening with Naruto is more or less rooted in his lack of parental guidance at home. They kind of left us on a cliffhanger there, right? Like we found out that white-haired ninja is going to be the leader of Team 7, and everybody's supposed to be linking back up after lunch to meet their leaders and stuff. And so, you're really hoping to meet the leader in a more significant way, right? Get to know his name, get to know what he's going to be like. But I guess that's for next episode or, some other episode down the future. There's no telling if they're going to present this linearly moving forward. But the love interest all around is real funny. It's funny how someone is bound to watch. Someone's bound to be watching Hinata, and she's missing them because she's watching Naruto, and Naruto is missing Hinata because he's watching Sakura, and Sakura is missing Naruto because she's watching Sasuke, and Sasuke is missing Sakura because he's watching himself. Right, and so it's just this whole dynamic where this whole class kind of has crushes on one another, but no one's getting to bang, right? Because they all have crushes on the wrong ones who have crushes on other people, which is, I guess, a lot like real life. It's well written, it's fun, right? Squad 7, get ready, boys and girls. That's the main team right there. Like, god dang, I wanna spill so many beans right now. Squad 8, Hinata, Kiba, and Shino. That's a goon squad. Really glad that you guys were able to get introduced to them today. They're going to do a lot of fun stuff together. Squad 10, Shikamaru, Ino, and Choji. We've gotten to probably see more out of Squad 10 than Squad 8 at this point, right? We've seen Shikamaru a few times. We know that Ino is like a big rival of Sakura's, but we only just now met Choji, but the only thing that we really know about Squad 8 is that Hinata has a big boner for Naruto, right? So there's really not a lot there. So I can't speak on them too much as of now. But as the series progresses and they show us more from these guys, I'll be able to elaborate more. Naruto is now 1-0 against Sasuke. You know what I'm talking about? Like, I like to keep track of what Naruto's records are against people who are significant, right? He's already kind of gotten a few people with some sexy jutsus, but those were kind of silly things. But this was a fight that he had with Sasuke, and he won, so that's cool. I'm going to keep track of that. I love that Sakura was able to empathize with Naruto by the end of it, even if they weren't necessarily able to share a moment. And that's pretty much all I've got to say on this episode. Obviously, I could rant for an hour, but I'm going to try and put a bow on it. I really, really appreciate everybody listening. I'm Joshua, your Konoha companion, and please participate. Let's make a community. Talk in the comments, share the memes, and let's all be friends. Thank you so much again, and I'm really looking forward to going over episode 4 of season 1 of Naruto with you. Thanks so much.